All right, welcome to your next video lesson here in the Functional Medicine Detox series. And we're going to be talking about how full and pressurized is your toxic tank, and also where are these toxins coming from. So remember that there's always a reason. There's always a reason why you feel the way you do. And toxins are all around us. Research estimates that there are more than 144,000 man-made chemicals in existence, and half of those are carcinogenic. The U.S. Department of Health estimates 2,000 new chemicals are being released every year. That's an amazing amount, and it's no wonder that our individual toxin tanks, the amount of toxins that our bodies store on a regular basis. We're exposed to so many of these chemicals, and if the body can't process these chemicals out, it puts them into storage, and that creates upset in the body. It creates dysregulation, it creates imbalance, and then those imbalances manifest as symptoms, and then those symptoms are usually diagnosed into disease, and then those diseases are usually treated with pharmaceuticals, and that is the typical flow of events when it comes to not feeling well. And there's always a reason that you feel the way you do. So in laboratory research, when they want to give a test rat cancer, they actually give it a pesticide that's commonly used on produce that we as humans eat on a regular basis. If you've ever wondered how exactly do those laboratory rats get cancer in the first place, you got to wonder, why is it allowed by the governing authorities to put carcinogens on our food and be able to make those available to the public and for the public to consume those? Those pesticides and those chemicals are deemed, safe for humans at low levels. But what happens when we ingest those low levels every single day? What happens if we're bringing in those chemicals and those pesticides every single day? Well, what happens is the needle on your toxic tank pressure gauge, as we saw in the previous photo with the pressure gauges on your toxin tank, it just may be moving up the scale. So tens of thousands of toxin studies exist. And I wonder why I'm not getting a picture over here on the left side of that slide. Tens of thousands of toxin studies exist, but are kept from mainstream media due to the manufacturing companies that they would impact financially. And it kind of makes us wonder, who exactly is running the show? And, sadly, that those studies are kept from mainstream media, like I say, to keep the profits of these companies from taking a hit. And it's a lot of these companies that pay heavily to keep those studies away from mainstream media. So you might be wondering, does my doctor know about this? And again, real-time recording here. I have a slide image in the middle, an image in the middle of this slide here, and I'm not sure if it's showing up on the recording, but I don't see it on my screen. But we're going to keep moving here. But it was, if you don't see it on this slide, it was a picture of a student doctor in his lab coat holding a stack of books and just feeling overwhelmed. And medical doctors do, in fact, learn about toxicology in graduate school. However, most of them forget how impactful continued exposure to toxins can be on the body, pressurizing our toxin tanks with parts per million and parts per billion every single day. And like I talked about in a previous slide, that, in little small micro doses, it's deemed okay for us, but those micro doses eventually add up to macro doses, and those macro doses is what makes us not feel well. So keep in mind that the current model of modern conventional medicine is to treat chronic symptoms with pharmaceuticals. And this is mainly due to the fact that most medical schools and practices are heavily funded by those same pharmaceutical companies. But I digress. I'm not going to get into that conversation here for the sake of this functional medicine detox course. So where are these toxins coming from? And they come from all over the place. They come from our air, and seem to be missing a couple of images here as well, but they come from the air. There's carbon that's in the air. There's metals in the air, believe it or not. Yeah, metals, even though you think metal is heavier than air, metals come from, smokestacks of factories, and those metals are byproducts of whatever the factories are creating, and those that smoke gets up into the air, into the atmosphere, and then it comes back down to actually the air that we breathe. VOCs are in the air. Volatile organic compounds are volatile, so they dissipate into the air, but they're still there. Pesticides, exhaust from all the vehicles that travel. Just think of your commute. If you drive anywhere, even in the suburbs or in metro city areas, think of the amount of traffic and the amount of exhaust that's coming from all of those vehicles. Brake dust from all those vehicles gets into the air. There's so much more. These toxins are in our drinking water. Talking about things like chlorine and fluoride, right? Those are put in the drinking water purposefully, but those chemicals and elements also find their way into drinking water naturally. Of course, chlorine is natural, fluoride is natural, but they are put into municipal drinking water that may come out of your tap if you have town or city water. And the chlorine is there to prevent bacteria or to kill bacteria, but it also kills the bacteria that is in your gut that needs to be there, the healthy gut bacteria. Chlorine is an antibiotic, and antibiotic means against life, and it's unbiased. It's against all forms of life. A little bit of chlorine in your drinking water may not kill you, but it kills the healthy gut bacteria in your gut that keeps you healthy, keeps you alive. And the fluoride in the water that's put in there on purpose, it actually has no value as far as being an antibacterial, antifungal, or anything like that. It is merely put in there to add, supposedly, the theory is to add strength to your teeth and keep your teeth healthy, keep your bones healthy. And it actually has an inverse effect compared to what the intent is there. And it is certainly medication without consent, because if you didn't consent to having that fluoride in your drinking water, there's really no way to regulate that, as far as the little old lady that might drink 2 glasses of water a day compared to the training athlete that might drink a gallon or 2 gallons of water per day. They're taking in different levels of fluoride, and it's having a different effect. And fluoride is in the halogen group in the periodic table of elements. And what that does is it blocks iodide for thyroid. And it's actually a neurotoxin. That's right. Fluoride is a neurotoxin. We'll get more into neurotoxins a little bit later. And there's also aluminum and pharmaceuticals and volatile organic compounds in the drinking water. In our food, we have pesticides and herbicides and fungicides and preservatives and even more chlorine. In bath products, we have metals, we have parabens, triclosan, sometimes abbreviated as TCS, if you ever see that in bath products. It's an antibacterial and an antifungal agent, and it's present in some consumer products, including toothpaste and soaps and detergent, and even in toys and surgical cleaning treatments. And these get onto your skin, and getting onto your skin is it absorbs, and then it gets into your bloodstream. So that's how these metals and parabens and chemicals and preservatives, even from bath products, get actually into your body and start doing damage. Things like propylene glycol and fragrances. If you just see something that simply says fragrance, those are chemicals. Those are chemicals that aren't supposed to be in your body or even on your body, because your epidermis is permeable and it absorbs whatever's on your skin. So if you're putting lotion on your skin that has parabens in it, you're actually getting those parabens through your skin and into your bloodstream. And then we'll get into more on the bloodstream and the process that the liver does further in this lesson. And kitchen products. Aluminum. Aluminum is one of the biggest toxins, most prevalent in people. It's everywhere. In your kitchen, aluminum foil, aluminum pots and pans. You may not think covering a roast with aluminum foil and baking it is going to have any adverse effect, because aluminum foil has been a staple in the kitchen since tin foil was banned. But they replaced tin foil with aluminum foil, and it's really no better. Non-stick cookware, plastic wraps. If you've ever covered some food with plastic wrap and put it in the microwave and cooked it, and I'm guilty of that myself in years past, but that actually breaks down the plastic and leaches it into the food, and then you ingest the food and ingest the plastic. And vegetable oils and cooking oils as well are not good for you. And that's a conversation for another day. But just because it's called vegetable oil, you may get the impression that it's actually good for you, but it does not. It does not have a serving of vegetables in it. That is for sure. So, like I discussed, neurotoxins are everywhere, and a neurotoxin is a poison which acts on the nervous system. And you see a whole bunch of images here. Neurotoxins are everywhere, and they're invisible to you in everyday things that you use. Manganese from beverage cans and fluoride from toothpaste and in your municipal water, like we discussed. Pesticides on food and pesticides in, spraying of lawn. I think there's a statistic that shows or research demonstrates that residences that have their lawns professionally sprayed with fertilizer and with pesticides have a 50% higher rate of children having neurological dysfunctions in those households. Pesticides on food and in the lawn. DDT in soil. Now, DDT was something sprayed on the soil to kill pests. Back in the 70s, it was banned in the 70s, and it does not biodegrade. So that DDT still shows up in blood tests, in environmental toxicity tests that you can do right at home, an environmental toxicity test to see what kind of toxins you may have in your body. But yeah, DDT was banned in the 70s, and it doesn't biodegrade, so it still shows up. Another toxin, you see the person at the counter at the dry cleaner, tetrachloroethylene. It's also seen as PERC, P-E-R-C, and that's in dry cleaning chemicals. You see the bed there, PBDEs that are in flame retardant. So your bedding, your, the mattress itself, it could be the pillow or the pillowcase, anything that's flame retardant. Talking about furniture, couches and furniture that have flame retardant sprayed on them, and especially kids' clothes. If you ever see kids' clothes or pajamas made for infants or your toddler that says fire retardant, that has PBDEs in it, and that can get on the skin and into the body. I have this juice here. I'm talking about neurotoxins. Why do I have juice, apple juice drink on the slide here for neurotoxins? And there's arsenic actually found in juices in higher levels than what used to be in there. Arsenic in apples, arsenic in pears, arsenic in grapes. And absorb some arsenic that occurs naturally in soil or came from past use of pesticides. Apple, pear, and grape juice may contain low amounts of arsenic since it is present in the fruit. And then juices you mix from concentrate could have higher arsenic if made with arsenic-containing water. Arsenic is a heavy metal that is found in water and found in our soil, either naturally or from concentrated from pesticides for years past. Is arsenic in apple juice dangerous? Well, a recent report from the United States Food and Drug Administration has concluded that it is appropriate to set an action level for inorganic arsenic. because FDA sampling data show that inorganic arsenic is the main form of arsenic in apple juice, and because inorganic arsenic is considered more toxic than organic arsenic. So lead is been a topic of discussion for years, and when you hear lead, you probably think of lead paint, but it's also in beauty products. It's also in lipstick, and that's why I have the bright pink lips kissing the screen here. It's put in lead is put in lipstick to hold the color, and when that's put to the lips, then it's actually put into the body. Whatever goes on the body goes in the body, and that's how it works. Tuna fish. A lot of people think tuna fish is good, and I used to think that too. I used to eat a lot of tuna fish, and that is why on a heavy metals toxicity test, I ranked higher than normal for mercury. And mercury is found in tuna and in swordfish, and it's not the fish's fault. The mercury is in the environment. Mercury can come up from a factory in smokestacks, go up into the atmosphere, come down in the rain, is toxic rain, and into the water. And then the fish are swimming in that water. They have no choice but to, be in that environment, because that's what fish do. Fish swim, and then that mercury gets into the fish, and we eat the fish. So the bigger game fish are higher levels of mercury. If you want to eat fish with lower levels of or zero mercury, start looking for wild-caught cod or salmon, especially the wild-caught salmon, much lower in mercury and much better for you in omega-3s than tuna fish or swordfish. Mercury is also found in medications. That's right. It's been put in medicine for many, many years, although at lower levels. But why on earth would you want to take a medication that actually has mercury intentionally put into it? Mercury is also found in vaccines, and that's a very hot topic right now. Vaccines have mercury in it, and it's thimerosal, which is it's a mercuric derivative of thiosalicylic acid used as a preventative in vaccines, in cosmetics, in tattoo inks, and in eye drops and contact lens solutions. So if you use eye drops on a regular basis for dry eyes, or if you have contact lens solutions, or if you have some ink, if you have some tattoos on your body, chances are you are putting mercury into your body, into your system, unbeknownst to you, and that could have some consequences and reactions in the form of symptoms. Things like benzene, toluene, and those are found in gasoline. So if you're fueling up your automobile at the gas pump and you're downwind and you can smell that gasoline, you are getting in the things like benzene and toluene into your body. Ethanol is also is found in alcohol. So any drinkers that are watching this, I used to be a drinker myself, and I used to get plenty of ethanol in my body. And PCBs are also found in the atmosphere, in the water, and in the air. PCBs are polychlorinated bisphenols, and they're in the air and water from industrialized processes. So the 10 Americans studies, and I really hope the slideshow is coming through on this on recording, because I'm seeing a lot of missing images here from what I've created. The 10 American studies, 10 Americans were tested in a study for 400 specific chemicals. Now, as far as studies go, if you know anything about studies, usually the more people that are involved in the study, the more weight it holds, or clinical data that it holds from testing more people. That's sort of goes without saying. And this study was only 10 Americans were tested for 400 specific chemicals. So there are over 200,000 man-made chemicals today. And BPA was found in 9 and 10 of those Americans that were tested. Bisphenol A, which is not good for you. That is a man-made neurotoxin chemical. And BPA stands for bisphenol A, and it's an industrial chemical that has been used to make certain plastics and resins since the 1950s. BPA affects your health in more ways than one. The toxic chemical has been linked to causing reproductive, immunity, and neurological problems, as well as increased likelihood of Alzheimer's, childhood asthma, metabolic disease, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. Now, we talked about flame retardant in a previous slide. PBDE was found in 99% of those tested, and an average of 232 toxic chemicals were found in each of those 10 Americans that were tested. Remember, there was only 10 Americans tested for 400 chemicals out of 200,000 chemicals, and 154 hormone disrupting chemicals were found in those 10 Americans. 212 chemicals were found that were banned for years or even decades, and 151 chemicals were found that cause birth defects. Those 10 Americans that were tested were actually unborn babies, and the chemicals were found in their umbilical cord blood. So that tells us that the pregnant mom of these 10 unborn babies that were tested had all these neurotoxins in her, and unbeknownst to her, the baby was getting these as well. And if you're interested in watching this study, you can go to YouTube and just simply type in the 10 Americans, and it was done by the Environmental Working Group. The previous slide that we had here, this one here, that's not showing up now for me for whatever reason, had the image of the Environmental Working Group and their logo. If you could see that, that's great. I cannot. And Environmental Working Group, 10 American Studies is on YouTube. You can watch it. It's maybe a 20 or 30-minute presentation that goes a little bit more in depth about the study and the chemicals that were found and the profound effects, and what the Environmental Working Group has been doing. That study was done about 10 years ago or more. What the EWG has been doing for reducing environmental toxicities. The chemical industry is worth about $765 billion today, and it's projected to grow over 10% by 2025. Now, this certainly isn't a lesson in economics today, but this just proves that the chemical industry is growing. And we just talked about where all these neurotoxins are coming from, and it really comes from man-made chemicals. More than 8 million babies worldwide are born with a birth defect each year. So that's 16 babies per minute born with birth defects. Research suggests that birth defects cause 1 out of every 5 deaths in infants and lead to lifelong disabilities and challenges for those who do survive. Also, chronic diseases in both children and adults are among the most prevalent and costly health conditions in the United States. Nearly half, that's approximately 45%, or 133 million of all Americans suffer from at least one chronic disease. And there's undeniable evidence that the rise in toxic chemicals is directly related to the rise in health issues worldwide. So remember, this is just a few examples and an overview of the average person. I go more in depth with each private wellness client to explore their unique environment, to help discover what specific toxicities may be affecting them. So be sure to take our Toxic Tank quiz in our private practice client portal, and anybody can access that, to see how full and how pressurized your toxic tank is. And the next step after that, to see how you rank on that toxic tank quiz, the next step is a comprehensive functional medicine environmental toxicity test. And conventional medicine learns about toxicology again, but they don't really put the information into practice. I just want to talk about this slide for a second, that commitment is being responsible. And every time you commit to your health with a 7, 14, or 21-day seasonal functional medicine detox, you're going to gain back some of your health, you're going to gain back some of your energy, and you're going to gain back some of your vitality, your life force energy. That's what vitality is. And you can gain that back. It's not something that you have to give up your right to. That is your birthright, to have that energy and that vitality every day. And if you're bogged down because your toxic tank is full, your toxic tank is pressurized, and your energy is going to fighting off these toxins that are in your body, it is your responsibility to take your health into your control. You do have that option. That is a choice of yours that you can make if you want to make that commitment. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm bringing this program to you, so that I can help you on your journey in your commitment to your health by guiding you through either 7, 14, or 21-day seasonal functional medicine detox. So coming up next, we're going to make sense of combining ancient wisdom and modern science. We're going to talk about exactly how a functional medicine detox works versus cleanse and other things like juicing, which are fantastic, certainly not knocking those things. And we're going to talk about what is removed, what kind of toxins are removed from your body in a functional medicine detox. So we will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.